Hello and welcome to my presentation on Huntington's disease, symptoms, etiology, consequences, genetics, and research. So, to introduce some facts about this disease, Huntington's is a genetically inherited disease. It is found all over the world, but is more prevalent among people of European descent. It can be traced back to the Middle Ages and was referred to as an heirloom of generations away back in the dim past by physician George Huntington when he wrote about the illness in 1872. It is an autosomal dominant disorder, meaning that there is a pattern of inheritance of the disease, and only a single copy of the mutated gene is enough to cause the disease. The symptoms vary in severity and type among different cases. Some people experience more difficulty with their cognitive functions initially, while others have more physical symptoms such as balance or coordination problems. Overall general symptoms of this disease include mood swings, depression, uncontrollable movements known as chorea, problems with balance and walking, and difficulties with speech and swallowing. The younger a person is when they begin showing signs of Huntington's, the faster the disease will progress. On average, people show signs of Huntington's in their 30s or 40s. Some cases do develop in people before the age of 20, known as juvenile Huntington's, and some people don't show signs of the disease until they are past middle age. Children who have an affected parent have a 50% chance of developing HD. The disease results from a mutation in the HTT gene, which provides the instructions for making a protein known as Huntington. It's not known exactly what this protein does, but it is thought to play a significant role in the brain's nerve cells. The mutation occurs within a CAG trinucleotide repeat. The CAG segment is made up of cytosine, adenine, and guanine, and they repeat multiple times in a row. In a normal CAG segment, they will repeat 10 to 35 times in the gene. But in a person with Huntington's, it is different. The CAG segment will repeat 36 to 120 times, causing it to develop into an abnormally long version of Huntington. This ends up breaking into smaller toxic fragments, which then join together and accumulate in the neurons of the brain, causing cell disruption. So in this slide, you see a normal healthy gene as opposed to a gene affected by Huntington's. There are far less repeats in the healthy gene than in the disease gene. In essence, Huntington's disease launches an attack on the central nervous system, especially the brain. The cells are irreversibly damaged. This damage to the brain is what causes these symptoms that you see in people that have Huntington's, such as jerking movements, problems with speech, memory loss, and overall impairment of motor skills. The disease eventually starts killing some of their brain cells, and the affected person's condition continues to deteriorate because the brain is under attack. Here you can see in the slide that there is significant damage to the brain and apparent cell death to the one on the right. And you can see there's a noticeable difference between the healthy brain and the damaged one. Although the symptoms stay the course of the disease, they can get better or worse for periods of time. As time goes on, the symptoms will get progressively worse and physical abilities will be severely impaired. Things like walking become very difficult and even dangerous because of the risk of falling. Forgetfulness can turn into dementia, and psychologically, a person can become very depressed and lose interest in life. In this picture, you can see how as the disease progresses, it takes over more areas of the brain, and by stage 3 or 4, it appears as though almost half of the brain is affected. Since the disease is almost always inherited, there is no way to prevent someone from developing it. However, there are a small number of cases developing in people who have no family history of Huntington's. This is thought to be caused by a new genetic mutation occurring during sperm development that brings the CAG repeats into the range that causes the disease. There are treatments and medications that can be used to help manage the disease and its symptoms. But Huntington's disease, as of now, is incurable. Life expectancy for a person with HD is typically 15 to 20 years after the onset of their initial symptoms. Major research of Huntington's began in the 1960s. The Committee to Combat Huntington's Disease and the Huntington's Korea Foundation were founded, fueling research at this time. Since the Huntington's gene has been located, there have been some new studies being done to find out more about this disease. Scientists are looking for answers on how Huntington's causes disease in the body, how it affects body chemistry and metabolism, and trying to develop an understanding of how lost functions might be restored. They are also using what has been learned about cellular degeneration in HD to attempt to find a way to correct or stop the process of nerve cell death. With this new research, I believe there is hope for people affected by this terribly debilitating disease.